Lane's log. Currently, we're stationed in the quiet and empty remains of the Willow Cafe. There's a few unconscious people spread out through the place, and I cleared out what I could. Right now, it's a corner booth by the tree, and I'm eating whatever stale pastries I can find. These things have been sitting out for a couple of days, if not longer, but they still taste pretty decent, so there you have it. With me, aside from these delicious-ish foods, are a stack of notebooks and journals that once belonged to one Jack Wright. Whether or not these will be helpful, I don't know, but Jack was always super big in the paranormal and the supernatural, and plus the whole weird shadow thing he had going on. You know, I feel like this might help somehow. At the very least, it's something to look into. While I'm doing this, Darian is out back talking to the other garbage bears. I'm assuming he's telling them to be on the lookout for Marina or any of the others, but it's Darian. I don't know for sure. He'll do what he wants, and sometimes what he wants is to be helpful. Other times what he wants is chaos. So, I shouldn't be too hard. He's already been plenty helpful. I'd probably be choking down rose vines right now if it wasn't for him. So I'll let the garbage bear dig around. Whether he comes back with trash or information, it's whatever. Because right now, I have plenty to crack on with. And so we're making a physical log to hopefully get a better understanding. The big journal that I'm seeing here seems to be like an actual journal, and so I figured we can read through it and see. I mean, that's how these research things always go, right? So, yeah. Let's take a crack. We finally did it. After a couple of years of planning, Sammy and I finally made the big move. Sure, dropping everything to try to make it big in California seemed like a lot, but what other choice did we have? We wanted to have a shot at the big time, to make a family, to be successful radio jockeys, to do all the things we talked about doing back at home. And yeah, across the country is a big move, but let's be honest, we had to do it. Staying at home would just mean more staying in the closet, staying stifled, staying controlled, trying to be satisfied with casual lies and secrets and everything else that was just holding us back. It's been a stressful move, but I'm so happy we did it. I just wish my family felt the same way about it. I wish they understood. My parents are less than thrilled to see their baby boy move halfway across the country, and my sister is a whole different mess right now. She's currently refusing to talk to either me or Sammy, and not really sure which one of us to blame for this stupid decision, as she puts it. A part of me feels terrible about the way things played out. I mean, maybe they could have been better. Maybe we could have convinced Lily to come with us. Maybe I could have stopped her from butting heads with Sammy again, like they always do, but whatever. It's too late now. I did the thing. We moved across the country. Sammy and I are getting settled in California, and so far things are looking up. We already got things set up with the radio station, and the studio is looking great. It's definitely seedy and a little run down, but for a big city place, like, honestly, we couldn't want anything better to start with. It's a brand new start in so many ways, and hopefully we'll be able to be more free and open this time. It'd be nice to hold his hand in public for once, without having to be worried about people being weird or getting death threats. I don't know, I'm just invigorated right now. Can't wait to get started. You know, I knew Jack did stuff in radio before he came to the city. I mean, he made that pretty obvious. The entire studio is set up to his specs, and he knows everything in there like the back of his hand. But he's been super vague about all the details about a fiance. I don't know. Like, we've talked about it before, but it's sweet to see the details, I guess. Honestly, this entire thing reads very much like being inside the brain of Mr. Jack Wright. After the journal entry is a bunch of show notes and scheduling things, and then little reminders to book certain guests with their contact info and when they're available. Very important stuff that I'm still really bad at organizing. And you flip it over, and there's a bunch of notes on cryptids and where to find them, different hotspots to look into, little research things. Honestly, it's very Jack. Like, this entire thing is just one stream of consciousness ripped out of Jack Wright's brain. And yeah, I like that. Radio, life, paranormal, all mixed together into one piece of paper. With that being said, I should probably skip forward a little bit. I don't know how looking at Bigfoot or the LA Lakers back in 2013 is going to be helpful. So let's just flip through this a little bit until we get to the next journal entry. Yeah, here it is. 2014. I finally did it. I never thought I'd be able to ask him or find the courage to pull this off, but I did it. Sammy and I were out, and I somehow managed to get the words from my mouth. I asked him to marry me, and he said yes. It's official. We're engaged, like, truly and properly, together, engaged with a ring and everything. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. I just want to climb to the top of the highest building and scream it out at the top of my lungs for everyone to hear. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to do that, but I want to. I really, really want to. And believe me, I would if I could. No one in my family knows, and I'm not sure if I should tell them yet. My sexuality has always been a touchy subject for my parents. And as for my sister Lily, well, I'm not sure how she'd take the news. She's always been cool about stuff like that, but at the same time, it's Sammy, and those two are tense. Especially now. So, trapped in a tricky situation. Aside from that, there's not really a lot of people that I'd announce it to. Sammy and I have friends here in California, sure, but it's complicated. The radio industry here is cutthroat. One little slip up and it can end your career in an instant. We've had to be careful about a lot of things. We've had to be private. Sammy especially has been paranoid in the ways that he's tried to keep us safe. I mean, I get it. It's hard, especially for the on-air talents. But still, what's the point? We moved all the way out here to California to be free. We were supposed to be able to be out and open. This was our opportunity to do things differently. And yet, for whatever reason, I find myself once again hiding in the closet. I don't mean to get down on everything. Like, I'm happy right now. I should be happy. I'm engaged to the love of my life. We have a house, a life. Nothing else matters. We're living together. It's happy. It's exciting. But I don't know. Something about this is all tainted. I really don't want to have to keep living a lie. I'm tired of having to keep everything about myself a secret. Tired of having to hide who I love. It isn't right. It shouldn't have to be this way. Yet here we are. For his part, Sammy's just as torn up as I am about all this. Sure, he says he's fine, and he's willing to separate public and private lives if it means having success and all the other things, but it's an act. I've known him long enough that I can see right through it. He's playing up a whole big, strong, straight, manly man for the airwaves. And it's such a bold lie. It's eating at him. I can see him every single day being worn down by this role he's forced to play. I appreciate that he's trying to hold it together. But if we're being honest, the longer this is going on, the longer he's going to end up hating himself. I don't know. These days, I'm starting to wonder if maybe Lily was right. Maybe we were better off staying where we had family, support, stability of some sort, in a predictable place. You know, maybe we wasted our time chasing some crazy idea on the other side of the country. Sure, the law says we're free, but people are rarely the same thing as the law. I'll try to keep it together too. If not for me, then at least for Sammy. He's doing his best, and you know, I should at least give him that. We'll get through this. We always do. The law's changed and things are starting to look up. We just have to keep pushing forward. Who knows, maybe we'll get big enough and successful enough that we can move to some safer place like San Francisco. Can only hope, right? We just need time. More time. Hopefully. I need some space away, and luckily I'm going to get it. I have new leads on shadow people from up north. Someone was exploring the redwoods and claimed to see humanoid silhouettes moving around the trees, whispering ominous things. These creatures have bodies that are made of pitch-black darkness with glowing red eyes. When they come near, the temperature drops and your teeth start to rattle ever so slightly. I'm not sure if there's any truth to the claim, but this is the 4th report. And after the last video I saw, well, it's at least worth looking into. If not for actual investigation, then at the very least to get some space away to clear my head. I have my gear all ready to go, and I am in desperate need of some fresh air in a place where I don't have to worry about keeping up appearances. Maybe Sammy will want to go with me on the road this time. He doesn't like the paranormal stuff. Always said it was just a bunch of hooey, but who knows? Maybe this will be the one to change his mind. And then after that, there's a picture taped to the inside of the page. It's Jack standing on the beach by the ocean with another guy. He's got a man bun. I'm assuming that's his fiancée, Sammy. They look pretty close. This picture was taken back in late 2013. And you know, it's kind of funny. Jack looks so much younger in this photo. Or maybe that's just because he looks happier. Or maybe that's because this was like a decade ago. Or all of those reasons. After that, we have a report on Bigfoot, a bunch of UFOs, some drawings of shadow people, And then there's like a list of camping supplies, a bunch of sport bracket stuff that I don't really understand, and then nothing. The next few pages are ripped out, and then there's a bunch of crossed out dates and names, and then we have another journal entry. This time it's from New Year's 2014. Interesting. We've skipped forward about 3 months. Let's see if we can figure out why. I finally have something worth showing. After all the time I've spent researching paranormal, trying to reach out to the forces beyond, I finally got something back. And unlike my other discoveries, which have been brushed aside or discredited, this one is solid, concrete. There's no way you can mistake what I found. This all started when I was looking into rumors of shadow people up north. From the outside, it seemed to be the standard type of spooky sighting, something that could be significant, but at the same time could also just end up being a really weird bear. At the very least, it was worth looking into, and I really needed a weekend out. So I made the big trek up with all my equipment and set up the standard testing area. It was a long weekend out in the woods, and honestly, I didn't get a lot to show for it. The entire time was just nothing but radio silence. I was starting to worry the entire thing was another bust, but then everything changed on the last night. As I was settling down for the evening in my sleeping bag, the temperature suddenly dropped. Now, this wouldn't be too weird for mid-fall in California, but this was different. It went from a nice, chilly evening to freezing. I could see my breath. I could see the walls of my tent condensate. I was starting to pick at it when suddenly there was a pale burst of blue lights right outside my tent. Voices started whispering all around. I could hear them just permeate into my bones. I tried calling out, but nothing answered. My first thought was maybe this was ghosts, if not some form of extraterrestrials. So, I reached for my EMF reader to get a better read on the situation, but the thing was going wild. Despite having been calibrated just that morning, it wasn't working. I tried to fiddle with it for a bit, but no avail. Then the lights around me started glowing brighter and brighter. There was a hum. I couldn't take it anymore. I ripped open the door of my tent to see what was going on. And right as I did that, everything vanished. It's like the entire thing was a dream. And honestly, I was ready to chalk it up to my imagination. But that's when my phone started ringing. I was out of service. There was no way I should have been able to get a call. And yet there we were. Right as everything started to settle, my phone goes off. Naturally, I had to pick it up. I mean, in this situation, what else do you do? A woman answered on the other side. She had some sort of posh accent, and her voice was shaky, mumbled with static and other interference. And yet at the first time, her first words hit me clear as day. Hello? Can you hear me? 5 words. That's all it took. 5 little words, and suddenly everything changes. I've spent years searching for the paranormal. I've spent countless hours trying to contact with something. It's a lot of hard work, and honestly, it's really draining at times. You don't get a lot of appreciation. You hardly get any recognition. And yet there I was. After years of calling, the other side finally answered. It was a short and grainy conversation. She told me she was some sort of benevolent force that ruled over something called the dreaming realm. She was a researcher into the paranormal just like me, and she was using what powers were available to her to search for a way into something called the void. Apparently she lost someone very dear to her a few years ago, and they ended up there. In the chaos and confusion of it all, her signal got mixed in with mine, and now we had a connection between what she called the dreaming realm and my world, the waking realm. I probably wouldn't have believed any of it if it weren't for the strange events that followed, or the fact that I couldn't pick up on where the signal was coming from. So instead we talked. She told me a lot about her world, about the fascinating things there, about a city where outcasts from my world would come and live their lives free and open in all the ways that they wanted to. It sounded nice. It sounded perfect. I told her a little bit about my world, about me, the paranormal things I was researching, the shadow people I had been hunting down. Embarrassingly enough, my relationship issues. And she listened. We went back and forth, and it just felt so nice to talk to somebody who would listen, who could understand and be there for once. We talked until the sun started to come up. And then she told me she would be in touch. Right as the sun crested over the hills, her call dropped. And it was like the thing never happened. She's called a couple of times since then, and we've had a lot of very, very good conversations. I'm excited to see where this could go. There's beings from another dimension. It's so much bigger than I could have hoped for. What else could be out there? What else could we know? I've been swapping back and forth with her already, and I've learned so much. I think it might be possible to cross over into the void and hopefully, the dreaming realm and the city that she describes. Sadly, Sammy doesn't feel the same way. I've told him all about these experiences I've had, but he doesn't understand. He doesn't really want to understand, if we're being honest. He's never tried to engage with me in my fascination with the supernatural, any of this, but I'm just a little frustrated now. I've shown him the phone calls. I've shown him the data. I've played the messages back for him. Like, come on, Sammy. It's real. It's here. How could you not see it? I wish he'd have more faith in me. Just listen to me for once. If not for all the aliens and ghosts and other things, then at least for date night. We've been in California for about 9 months now, and he's more guarded than before. I can barely get him to open up, let alone drop the male bravado act. It's borderline sickening how he's put this persona on for the public. Poor man is terrified. And this entire thing is eating away at him. If this keeps going on, it's going to destroy him, and I know it. I just do. I really wish I could help. I wish I could take him away from all of this, from everything, and go somewhere where we could both just be free. But something tells me that it's not going to happen until he finally opens up. Until he finally listens to me. And we're gonna get there, right? I mean, we're just getting established here in California. We're just barely making a base. Maybe we just need to keep pushing forward like we always have been. Either we'll make things work in California, or I'll find something better for us. I have to. It's going to get better. Right? Huh. Well, this is interesting. It sounds like Jack connected to something from this side of things. All of this makes me want to believe that it's Celine. I mean, how could it not be Celine? Some posh accent lady reaching out to the other side, come on. But at the same time, Marie is sneaky. She's manipulative, and based on what I know, this could have been a trap. Maybe. But also, we have to consider that Celine would totally throw a random man that she just met into danger just in order to get what she wants. I mean, if you don't believe me, look at what happened to Jeremy Johnson, or Bella Jewel Mallory, or all those people in the 70s. My goodness, there is a long list of people who have been personally screwed over by Celine Judas. And maybe Jack's on that list. Probably. But that doesn't really explain all the weird shadow things that happen with them. I don't know. Maybe there's something more. Maybe this explains later on. I don't know. The next few pages are a lot of intense looking math. And then a few drawings and schematics of machines that I don't really understand. And a bunch of weird looking runes and symbols. It's just a mess. Although a few of these runes do look familiar. I think I saw them in the Bella Jewel file. Well, if Jack was working around Celine, it would make sense that they would be looking into similar things. But I wonder if Jack was mixed up in the shadow things, and Celine was also mixed in. I wonder if Marie is connected to the shadows at all. Could she be like one of the shadowy darkness beings, maybe? Did she manipulate Celine and take over in some magical possession? Possibly. I can't say for sure. And there's a few pages missing, so we may never know. Let's just skip ahead to around July, when the insanity of things I can't understand smooths out to things I can understand. There's a schedule here, a little game of tic-tac-toe, and a poem. Joy. Another poem. You know, at this point in my life, I don't know if that's a sign of good things or bad things. But it's definitely a sign of things moving in a direction. So, poem time. Woo. You built your kingdom around me. Left trapped inside, I only wanted to be free. I'm fading fast, as you'll soon see. Just keep growing, till you're hollowed out and empty. I'm withered down to an absentee, drained of all that I could be, while you're drunk on all the truths you preach. Withering roots that once made me. Climb me up into the canopy. Grow until there's nothing left to be. Tell me all the things you see. Desires building up my debris. I've had enough of this. All of it. For a year and a half now, we've lived in California. For a year and a half, we've established a very successful radio brand. We have money, house, a stable career. We even won an award. We should have everything we need. Yet we're right here, in the same place we started when we first moved here. I can barely hold Sammy's hand in public, let alone get him to tone down the frankly disgusting persona he's cultivated for the public. At this point, he's spent so much time trying to hide that I'm starting to wonder how much of him is really left. He's built up his balls over and over, and it's wilting away that beautiful, wonderful soul that I fell in love with. His ugly side is coming out. It's killing him, and it's killing me. I've tried to talk to him about taking a step away, about just going somewhere, about taking a break from all of this and just being us, just for a little bit. But he just brushes me aside, insisting he's fine, insisting that it's nothing to worry about, insisting that if we should be worrying about someone, it should be me. And honestly, I'm not sure how much more of this I can take. My only escape has been my late night conversations with my friend in the dreaming realm. We've come a long way since that first phone call. She calls me just about every night now, right around 1 a.m. I'm not sure if this is intentional or just a quirk of the time, but we make it work. We'll spend hours talking about life, theories, resources to connect the shadow people and find the person she's searching for. We've grown so close. She understands me so much better than anyone around here. And in turn, I've learned so much within the span of a few months. My research has expanded further than I ever thought it could on its own. And I feel like we're getting close to something big. Interdimensional travel might be a possibility. All I have to do is keep digging through the information and connect to all the pieces of the void. I'm already close. I've made contact with something in the shadows, and now I hear truths being whispered to me. I feel stronger than ever. I hardly sleep these days, and I hardly eat, not from desperation, but from lack of need. The shadows are growing around me, just as my friends said they would, and I'm feeling stronger and better than ever. We're getting so close. And my friend assures me that this is the only way to connect both of our realms together. If we can just open a pathway through the void, everyone can be happy. She can find her missing beloved, and I can take Sammy away from all this nonsense. We can be free somewhere where we can be ourselves. It's close by, and yet it's so far away. There's so much prep work to do, and I have so many things to build. I'm just hoping that Sammy can stay out of my way long enough for me to save us. He still refuses to listen, but he's just withering and suffering on his own. Don't worry. I'll save us, Sammy. I always do. I knew a little bit about Jack's fiancé. He'd talk about him every now and then, or he'd catch just a picture in a notebook or two around the side, and I'd ask him about it. And it would be so fun because Jack would just light up, get this bright look in his eyes, and tell me about every exciting detail of their relationship. He'd tell me all the silly little quirks, what it's like to work with somebody you love, and how he was so excited to get things ready for the wedding. He'd go on for a little bit, and then you'd ask him when the wedding was, and then his eyes would glaze over, and he'd get this blank look. And it's like his brain would reset, because within an instant, he would stare at you confused and not know what you were talking about. It's like something mentally in him was forcing him to forget every single time. I didn't really think much about it before, I thought it was just another quirk of living in a strange and silly city where anything is possible and music is everywhere. I never really stopped to consider the weight of how terrifying Jack's reality actually is. Think about it. There's an 8-year gap of time in Jack's mind. He's missing 8 years of his life. And there are no traces of what happened to him, or how he got there, or where any of his loved ones are. Instead, in his mind, he's just in a new and exciting city, waiting for his fiancée to hurry up and move here so they can get married. He's stuck in 2015. And we don't know what happened to his family. We don't know what happened to his spouse. We don't know what happened to Jack. And we can't. Because every time we try to have a conversation about it, every time we try to help him move forward or investigate, he just resets. Like there's something actively in his brain forcing him to stay forever pinned to one singular bubble of a year. I wonder what it's like waking up one day, looking around and not remembering how you got there. Do you just push those feelings to the side and keep going forward, or do you dig? And how long do you dig before you start realizing this isn't the first time you've walked down this path? I really should have helped him more. And that's all I'm going to say about that. After that very frustrating entry, there's a few more notes on the whole stuff about shadows and demons and the void. And then there's also a section that looks identical to the one in that one leather journal Jack had on him for a while. And this here kind of reminds me of that Abigail Merriweather journal that I found not too long ago. There's even a couple of forgotten reminders scratched into the margins to remind him to, shave and stuff. Yeesh. The longer this notebook goes on, the messier the notes get. Like before, it was structured somewhat, and it was, organized, you could read through. But this, it's like Jack just threw up on the page with his brain. I'm no expert, but these runes and ominous drawings and diagrams look kind of familiar. I think he was trying to boost his signal. It was probably something that Marie or Celine or somebody was feeding him. Probably trying to connect to the void or the dreaming realm or whatever this mysterious friend was telling him. It's kind of sad. You can tell in how erratic things are. He was desperate to find this. Man. Oh. Would you look at that? We have ourselves another journal entry. Joy. Lately, things have been tense at home. Sammy won't stop bothering me. And I don't know why. I've tried to tell him what's going on, what I'm up to, why I don't sleep anymore. I've showed him the voicemails, I've shown him my journals, I've told him everything, and all the data I've gotten, but he just refuses to see any of it. Instead, the man I love is looking at me like I'm some wild animal, like I've gone feral or insane or something. I don't know what happened. Over and over, he begs me to stop doing this, to put the notebook down, to get help. But he just doesn't understand. He won't understand. I've tried for too long to make him understand, but it's pointless. He's so far gone at this point, so trapped and blinded by the fears of this world. I don't know if there's much more I can do for him. Sammy's in too deep, and the poison of that is killing both of us. He doesn't understand, but hopefully he will once I get him out of here. The sooner, the better. Things are going so well for me and my friend in the dreaming realm. She's found all the pieces to the ritual to open up the door on her side. All I need to do is prepare the doorstep on mine. We should be able to make this work. The shadows are louder and louder these days. We are closer and more connected to the void. She talks of something deep inside her rumbling, pulling her. Her lost love reaching out beyond time and me. I feel a connection to something greater than myself. I don't sleep anymore. I only eat to be with Sammy. I feel better than I've felt in a very long time. The world has more colors. Sounds have deeper quality. Everything has greater understanding. I see people not as they try to present themselves, but as they are. We are so close to being free. We are so close to something better. And I hope soon I can share this with the man I love most. I have another trip up north coming up. Sammy has been trying to talk me out of it. Even my own sister, Lily, has been calling me, trying to convince me to take a break. They just don't understand. The shadows have been cooperative and have established a pathway through the void. Things are going to be so much better. I've been engaged for nearly a year now. We've had our ups and downs, but I'm going to make it so much better. I am going to save Sammy. This is our year. This is our time. 2015. It's going to be something magical. After that, we have a bunch of scrambled notes. There's a lot of worked out math, again, calculus that gives me anxiety, and then a list of things to get from the hardware store, and a couple of old receipts, and then an old picture of Jack wearing a rugby uniform, and Sammy's just in sweats off to the side of him, looking so proud. And then there's just pages and pages of scattered thoughts, things scratched out, symbols I don't recognize, random blobs of things. It's gonna take a while to decipher this. And honestly, the longer this goes on, the more chaotic it gets. Jeez, Jack. I'm just looking through and... oh. Well, this is different. The last couple of pages are something special. Unlike before, this one looks a bit more organized. Things are written on the lines, and the handwriting is contained to the margins. It's heavy, though. It's like somebody was trying to carve this into the paper, like someone was trying to wrestle a pen out of Jack's hand. There isn't much to it, though. No complicated math equations or poems or rooms. It's just a single sentence ripped into the paper over and over again across the page. Get out of my head. And yeah, that's where it ends. There's a few hints to what might have happened to Jack, and I have a few theories. The big one right now is I think that whatever happened with the void, the shadows got him. And whatever these shadows do, they corrupt and they twist people. I mean, they made Jeremy into a fog monster. And I'm assuming with Jack, they took all of his searching and twisted it somehow. Forced him in an entire loop. I'm not sure if the loop did that to him or if Jack coming to the city did that to him. I mean, I've read the reports from the first time Jack was discovered in the city. He was right outside the doorstep, raving, mad, completely delirious. And I'm guessing that the city did its little brain trick to protect him from what? I don't know. But it appears the shadows got to him at some point. And he's been living in the delusion as a sort of protection ever since. This probably has something very strongly to do with Celine Judas. And I say this because the back cover is decorated with a pentagram that I have seen plastered in her work. It's more likely that Celine knew Jack, used him to work on stuff and hopefully open up the things. And then when the ritual happened, she sacrificed Jeremy, she murdered Bella Jewel, and everything blew up in their faces. Jack got trapped in the void, and Celine had to deal with Marie. And I think that's the big question left on my brain. How does Marie factor into any of this? Because, honestly, I don't know. She doesn't match the other shadow monster things that I've seen or that Jack's written down. She has way too much of Celine's same cadence, and I don't know if that's because she just talks similar or if there's a stronger connection. Honestly, with pictures and everything, those two look so similar that I wonder sometimes if they're the same person. I don't know. But this is a decent start. I'm tired and it's getting late, at least from what I can tell. The raccoon has come back in, so I'm going to go see if we can find somewhere to sleep. And hopefully we'll figure this out in the morning, or whatever qualifies as morning here. Gee willikers, I sure do love living in an apocalyptic time. Anyways, Blaine out. Dreamgirl City is a production by N.J. Schulze. It was written, produced, and acted by N.J. Schulze. The poem featured for today was Strangler Fig by N.J. Schulze. Have a question, have a comment, have a theory, have a poem you'd like to share? Email this and more to dreamgirlcityradio@gmail.com. Want to connect with us and join the wider podcast posse? Please consider our social medias. We have TikTok, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Tumblr. I'm not going on X. Sorry. If you like supporting this podcast, please consider our ACAST support feature on Anchor if you are able to contribute financially. If not, then rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts and share us around with all your friends. We grow by word of mouth, and it's a lot of work, so we really appreciate everything that you do for us. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us and for all the fun and hijinks along the way. We have a lot of exciting questions that are asked and a lot of exciting things that are coming up. So until then, just remember, don't be weary. It's just a theory.